Hey folks, welcome back. And today we're talking about the fact that we're facing a collective crisis of character. You know, the war for reality is being fought at the level of our individual character right now. People are being confronted with decisions that are defining their lives. You know, if you're a doctor, you have to decide if you're going to do the right thing. If you're a nurse, you have to decide if you're going to do the right thing. If you're in the military, you have to decide if you're going to do the right thing. If you're a mother or father or parent, you have to decide if you're going to do the right thing. You know, if you're a teacher, you have to decide if you're going to do the right thing. If you're a politician, you have to decide if you're going to do the right thing. And on and on and on. If you're a citizen, you know, you have to decide if you're going to do the right thing. And doing the right thing is a measure of our character. Okay? And, you know, so we're being confronted with these decisions that aren't only shaping our individual lives, they're shaping reality right now. And, you know, these decisions are based on character. So if you have character right now, it's being tested. And if you don't have character, it's being exposed that you don't have character. You know, we're deciding to believe or not believe the mainstream media narrative right now. We're deciding if we're going to live in love or if we're going to live in fear. We're deciding whether to believe in an absolute morality or in moral relativity. You know, and moral relativity versus absolute morality is basically good versus evil. You know, we're deciding where we're going to be placing our faith. Are we going to put our faith in good or are we going to put our faith in evil? You know, also a lot of us are confronting the reality that our families and friends have gone away from us. You know, we've been abandoned because we don't share the same beliefs as they do. You know, and I want to remind you to remember that rejection is protection. You know, rejection is a new door opening to a more expansive opportunity in reality. You know, and for the person doing the rejecting and the abandoning, it's a closing door. You know, it's a door that closes and leads to a shrinking reality, to less opportunity. You know, one path is expansive and the other is, you know, the other contracts. One path is based on love, the other is based on fear. And the they, you know, the big they, you know, they're hoping the social conditioning they subjected us to for the last 1,400 years is going to kick in right about now. And all of our deeply embedded patterns of low self-esteem and low self-worth are going to take over our decision-making as we're being confronted with these very, very important decisions. You know, the most important human decisions maybe in modern human history. And, you know, they want us to not have character. They want us to not have the courage of our convictions, and they want us to look to them to make the decisions. You know, they want us to defer to their better judgment, not our own. And this is because they've taught us to hate ourselves. You know, and this was done in anticipation of this very moment. So when they had sort of gotten to the point where they were ready to seize power, we'd be too tired and weak to put up a fight. You know, that's what critical race theory is. You know, it's about creating victims, right? So that we're just too tired to fight, you know, and and that's why the 7 deadly sins are more celebrated in our culture than the 10 commandments. You know, the 7 deadly sins are literally scripted into our lives. You know, if you look to Hollywood, if you look to business, all the sort of characters that we see out there, they're all bad. You know, they all live according to the 7 deadly sins. You know, they're all about revenge and wealth and opulence and, you know, greed, pride. You know, that's who we look up to. You know, so literally the script for most of our society, for our lives, you know, we celebrate pride. You know, we celebrate glory. We celebrate greed. We celebrate lust. We celebrate envy. We celebrate gluttony and, you know, getting hammered. You know, like the songs that these kids are listening to these days. I mean, the songs I was listening to were the same way. You know, we celebrate wrath. We celebrate sloth. And, you know, this shapes our character. And if our character's been indoctrinated into this sinful lifestyle, into this sinful matrix, what kind of decisions can we be counted on to make when it's time to do the right thing? When it's time to step up, what kind of decisions are we capable of making after being indoctrinated into a society that's completely informed by the 7 deadly sins? Furthermore, how entitled am I going to feel to receive love if I know that I'm perpetuating the 7 deadly sins? And I want to tell people, the 7 deadly sins, they will kill you, but it's not God saying, I'm going to kill you if you commit the 7 deadly sins. It's God saying, you're going to kill yourself. And if the biblical definition of the word sin is actually a mistake, right? You're going to keep making these mistakes, and ultimately you're going to hate yourself. And when you hate yourself, hate, again, it collapses in on itself. It is, an ever shrinking, reality that just folds in on itself over time. But, what kind of people is this lifestyle of sin sort of birthing into our reality? We've all done things we wish we hadn't done. And some of us relive the worst moments of our lives over and over and over, because we don't want to be good. We don't strive to be rid of it. We think that's all life has for us, So we don't confess, we don't release it, and we wind up taking the secret to the grave. When we think, when we do this, we think we're protecting us, but actually what we're doing is we're killing ourselves. It's not God killing us. We're doing it to ourselves. We're living with the secret and reliving it over and over, and it becomes a dark force that ruins our lives over time. It's not what we did that we're ashamed of, although some people, that's their karma and their time is up and they get popped for being bad. Most of us kind of just get away with it and we keep it a secret, but the more we relive the secret, the more it manifests into our reality. We become that. And so many of the people, who are helping to shape this co-creative reality that we're in right now don't know how to be good. Part of the plan the entire time was to create a society of people who hate themselves. Our entire societal structure is predicated on self-hatred. And through this model, we're being forced to decide, if we want to hate ourselves or if we want to love ourselves. We're being forced to decide how to respond to the evil that's being levied on us, And, for the record, wearing a mask is a form of self-hatred. Masks are a symbol of self-hatred. Allowing your body to be violated with a chemical experiment, and be coerced, because you don't want to deal with the consequences is actually a form of self-hatred. It's a form of self-sabotage or abandoning yourself. Yeah. And abandoning people, right? For not doing what they're told, for pointing the crooked finger of blame at them, that's a form of self-hatred. That's you projecting that you hate yourself onto other people. So, if you're an angry Karen and, you're telling people how to live, you have to understand, honey, you're telling the world that you hate yourself. If you're working for people that are directly or indirectly sponsoring these crimes against humanity that are being perpetrated, that's a form of self-hatred. And, it's not your fault. We're taught to hate ourselves. And in so doing, by proxy, we pretty much just hate everyone else, if that's who we are. You cannot be a self-loathing person and have space or energy or even the know-how to love others, So when they create self-hatred, by proxy, we hate others. And, we can only hate others if we hate ourselves, because that's who and what we are, right? What I perpetually focus upon becomes who I am. So we need to remember that the lies being told to suppress the truth are directly commensurate with the potential power for change residing within the truth they're trying to suppress. They know what we're capable of, and we're starting to become aware of what we're capable of. And, despite all the conditioning, we're sort of, getting out of the matrix. We're poking through the veil. And now they know that we know what we're capable of, and they know we know what they've been doing to us. So for 200 million Americans right now, the cat is out of the bag, and they're, they are looking right at us and lying right to our faces, knowing full well that we know they're lying. And George H.W. Bush actually said, if the American people ever find out what we've done, they will chase us down the street and lynch us. And that's what's, happening right now. So I want to talk about moral relativism for a second and the creation of the double standard that's ruining the world right now. So moral relativism is the idea that there's no universal or absolute set of moral principles. It's a version of reality that advocates that sort of everyone can sort of do their own thing. Moral relativism actually stands idly by and allows for the proliferation of the deadly sin lifestyle, that again leads to that life of victimhood. And, through the victim indoctrination process, we're led to believe that we're not all sort of beholden to the same moral statutes. Victims are allowed to burn and loot with no penalties, while, self-sovereign, morally absolute, self-empowered people, who believe in the Constitution and who want to peacefully assemble can't do that without getting thrown in solitary confinement. We do live in an inverted world. We do live in an inverted reality. We have to accept this, and then we have to firmly adhere to what is good, not evil. And furthermore, when we allow ourselves to accept small double standards, bigger and bigger double standards become logical and acceptable. If they want to tap our phones, I guess that's okay, just as long as I don't get killed by a terrorist, they want to tell me that, this is all for my health, and yet I see people being locked up or, forcibly removed from grocery stores, people getting killed for not wearing masks, and they want us to think that this is all for our health. So, if we accept this over time, those who actually live freely may actually start to believe that they're the ones who are slaves. That's what they're kind of trying to do right now. And then those who are actually enslaved believe they're free. And this is why there's so many of us who are standing up to be counted right now. We're proclaiming that we will not succumb to these lies. We won't allow these lies to seep into our consciousness. For many of us, we're actually going through a process of purging right now where, we call ourselves on it and we allow ourselves to purge. Like the other night when I was out on a run, and I think a lot when I'm on my runs, and sometimes God even reaches out and tests me on my runs like he did the other night. And there I was, contemplating how to be in alignment, with my morality and sort of how to, have the courage of my convictions. And, as I'm running, where I run to the right, there's a body of water, and then I run on a sidewalk, and then to the other side of me is a highway, a 2-lane exit ramp highway. And I'm running, and I look down, and there's a big nail. And, I'm someone who, when I see nails, I pick them up because the tire you save might be your own, right? But this, I was tired, it was hot, I was like, all right, I'm going to stop. And so I kept running, and then, another, 200, a ways down the road, there's another nail. And I'm like, oh, geez, was that another nail? Please don't make me stop. And there I am, forced with this decision, and I'm thinking about the decision as I'm running. I'm like, well, I'm too far past it now to do anything anyway. And I'm about to keel over. It's so hot out. And boom, there's another nail. And I ran a few more feet after that third nail and was finally like, you have to do this. Like, if you want to change who you are, if you want to help level up consciousness, you have got to turn around and go back and pick up those nails. And so that's what I did. I went back. I looked like a weirdo walking along the sidewalk while cars whizzed by, looking for the 3 nails that I ran by, because I need to do the right thing. I need to be purging all of this sort of old reluctance and cowardice and sort of moral relativism that says, well, at least it won't be my tire that pops, because that's not how it works. It will be. My tire will be the one that pops if I don't pick up the nails. So this is how we win. Each of us has to continue to prove through our right decisions who we are as a species. We need to let God know that we know we're being counted. We need to let God know that we know we're being counted. And these people believe that their world is bigger than it actually is. Remember when I said the one who abandons, the one who rejects, their world is always shrinking. They live in a world of attrition, while the one who has been rejected lives in the expansive world, because rejection is protection. If we're rejected, it's because we have to deviate course and head for something better. So by virtue of the double standards these people choose to accept as true, the secrets they keep to themselves about the truth, these people are by default living in an ever-shrinking world. It's their raison d'etre. It's their reason for being to shrink the world. That's what genocide is, right? So by virtue of who they are by design the minority. So it's actually a small minority in this country who believe they are the majority. So, don't bow down to the self-deluding minority, when you make your decisions. If it's time to decide, don't be afraid of what they can do to you, And if you want actual proof about who's waking up and who's still sleeping, just look at the ratings for the mainstream media right now, which have sort of categorically diminished by 80% across the board. Like 80% of their viewers don't watch them anymore. They've stopped watching. They've removed themselves from the seeping, of that poisonous narrative. So we're really only talking about a third of the population at most who still believe that this is all for our health. We're being held captive by a shrinking class of deluded, self-hating hypocrites. You don't have to feel ashamed about disagreeing with these people. That's really only your goodness trying to escape its own patterns of self-hatred by forgiving or tolerating or, taking it on the chin, because of what someone else believes. It's time to decide and know for a fact how absurd what is being forced upon us truly is, and the people who are doing it, they are full of shit. Don't let their poison seep into your decisions. Continue making your best decisions every day, even if that means doing nothing to avoid being placed in a situation that may cause you to make a bad decision. These people only yell the loudest. That doesn't mean that there are more of them than us. So that's all I've got for now. Thanks for sticking around, and we'll see you next time.